The Dauntless. There is a mild scraping sound just barely in the range of his hearing. He looks up from his little sergeant's manual and looks around. Even his eyelids feel heavy and leaden. His muscles ache and the places where his chitin skin meet itch, a sure sign that he's beyond exhausted. A shift of axiom moves the page held in his pincers, and he goes back to reading after he scans the room. There's another scraping sound, and as he tries to place it, a story from one of the fully trained, undaunted niggles at the back of his mind. He slips a bookmark into his little manual and scans the room again before crouching down and doing a sort of push-up. A drill instructor is slowly crawling towards him with full nighttime camo on his face and a knife in his teeth. Tired, not thinking clearly, and just wanting a peaceful firewatch to read his damn sergeant's manual, he silently marches up to where the drill instructor is sneaking up, reaches under the bed and yanking the man out. He wordlessly hoists the man upright and turns him around before forcing the thoroughly bemused drill instructor out of the room and then stalking back to his station to continue firewatch. The nearly silent snickers of the drill instructor following his every step. His watch lasts 2 hours before he wakes up the next in line. He's had time to read the manual twice, and he outright tells the next guy to goddamn watch it. The drill instructors have some kind of evil plan. Then he slinks into his bunk and falls asleep nearly instantly. Then, in what feels like no time, he's woken up by a scream of fright. "You stupid little bastard. You're on firewatch, boy. Your entire damn squad is depending on you to..." The drill instructor is already smoking the hell out of whoever was on watch now, and damn, he was asleep for 3 hours and it felt like 30 seconds tops. "Drill instructor, sir?" he asks after a bit, and most other soldiers flop down. "What? Permission to pass out again?" he asks with a lot more annoyance in his tone than he wants to give, but it's nowhere near enough for him to really care. He's fucking tired. "Granted," the instructor says, and maybe a few other things, but Squad Sergeant Davies is already out cold. There are no more surprises in the middle of the night, and that's a miracle. Still, he wakes up exhausted and angry. He shakes his head and gives himself a light conk with his pincer before yawning hard and drawing in as much axiom as possible to wake himself up and push some energy into his system. There's a borderline ringing noise around his ears as the world slowly comes into focus again, and he's already halfway through the routine of prepping his bed, and he focuses on a few details and moves through more as he brushes things out and quickly goes through the room for a preliminary inspection before the drill instructor arrives. "Sergeant," the drill instructor barks out, "what's our status?" "Rested but groggy, sir. Ready for the day," Sky belts out. "Good. At ease," the drill instructor commands before walking down the line and just giving a cursory examination of things. "All right, men, today there is the hardest and most challenging thing any military member can do." He lets them all stew on that for a few moments. "This is a day off. You have shore leave. If any of you fuckers have to be pulled out of police holdout, I will be coming in person to break my foot off in your ass." There's a pause as the drill instructor stares at them. "Well, what the hell are you waiting for? Fall out and heaven help you if I catch anyone acting out, because they will need it." "Sir?" "Yes, sir." Squad Sergeant Davies barks out and gives a salute before everyone falls out. There is a glare he's catching from the drill instructor, and he doesn't dare move. When the barracks are emptied, the drill instructor marches up to him. "Do you know why I've had you stay behind, Squad Sergeant?" "Sir, no, sir." "Well, it should be obvious. That little book is just a primer. In a half-hour report to room 502 on deck 3. You'll be in there for 3 hours." "Sir?" "Yes, sir," Squad Sergeant Davies says with less enthusiasm but still a crisp salute. "That's what you get for doing well, soldier. Now get moving. You've got barely the time to grab a snack and scratch your ass before you get there, and you might still have to give up scratching halfway through. Go, go, go!" Level 8 of Venspire isn't the most comforting of places. Due to the natural widening of spire construction as you go further down, there is no natural light left. It's all uncomfortable, cheap and stale. There's a buzzing just below normal hearing that you can almost make out and distracts ever so slightly, and a semi-whiff of something burning in the air as part of the air filtration on this level. We expected better results. The child in the military uniform states, "It's not Agent Jameson, but it is a private stream." The persona and appearance had become a code for an innocent public image for an overly youthened operative. "Pardon?" Moriarty asks slowly as he turns to face the young human. Despite his disdain for this level and his clear unhappiness at being collared, he had conducted himself well. He is formally dressed and has been using his quiet moments to pursue several doctorates in numerous different fields. He seeks to earn the professor title honestly. A call for assistance in a short time span after you were caught up in a hostage situation. Perhaps Lestrade would be a more appropriate Holmes-style name for you? Private Stream asks. The operative in the persona is only using the look of the eager young cadet. He has none of the attitude. If I was requesting aid, you may very well have a point. However, this was not a call for help, but for advantage. Moriarty answers. I'll not bore you with the details already outlined in my next report, but I have temporary access to a gang warehouse, and while they will no doubt be patching the security issue I am flagrantly taking advantage of, we now have a period of time where we can steal their resources and frame another party. However, I lack the sheer space needed to store a sufficient quantity of this material to provoke the desired response. So I have called for assistance to shift and store the sheer number of weapons and chemicals. No more, no less. I see. What form of weapons? Primarily hodgepodge defense turrets, simple to mass produce out of cheap prosthetics and laser weapons, and deadly if used properly. They do, however, have numerous dangerous chemicals that could easily be fitted into a chemical bomb to cause lethal harm, Moriarty explains. You just need truck drivers for a theft. In essence, I don't even want these things, but a slightly lower profile gang adores them and is hyper-paranoid about their theft. So we fulfill their darkest nightmares when it comes to their munition stores, and I have a great deal of fury to mold like clay, and you have the raw parts to make more of your toys. I dare say this is what you humans call a win-win scenario. Very well, lead the way. Private Stream states, and Moriarty nods. Can you pursue a teleportation? Moriarty asks, as he turns away from Private Stream to look over level 8 again. Yes, Private Stream says, and Moriarty simply vanishes in a teleport. Both men reappear in a large, cluttered room directly under a security camera. Moriarty places a floppy hat on his head and bends space around his antlers to hide the distinctive profile. He then passes another floppy hat to Private Stream, who switches hats after he brushes his coat a few times, and its colors shift to match the hat, and the general design shifts a great deal. Private Stream then reaches into an inside pocket and unfolds a portal framework. It then activates and reveals an empty chamber beyond. Moriarty takes this time to shift the air around him a bit, and he generically looks like a woman due to the axiom around him, and Private Stream does the same, appearing to be a bit closer to a go-bee. Both men quickly grab and shift a large number of the items stacked around the room and several drums of chemicals before Moriarty holds up a hand and then carries one last bundle through. He then deliberately reaches in, reveals part of the cobbled-together machine, and snaps off a part. Once he's back in the warehouse, Private Stream deactivates and then folds up the portal frame. He then follows Moriarty's next teleport out, and they're both in an alleyway some distance away. Moriarty drops the piece he broke off the machine and kicks it to the side before teleporting again. And so the games begin. Moriarty notes as he pulls off the hat and lets the illusion fade. It's nice to know that you have a good number of safe houses. I know that place was not in the Dauntless. Of course, You've only been on the Dauntless once, and you will only ever return to it when you go to sign up for another 5 years. Still, you needed assistance to move product. There were other places I could have put it. However, they're all on this level. As per my contract, I work down here. So I can't get the stolen goods to a sufficient distance without outside intervention. And if you insist on holding my leash, then you get to deal with the leavings. Moriarty notes before waving his hand somewhat. That's all I needed you for. You may leave now. You seem to misunderstand the nature of your employment. Private Stream notes. Have I? Or perhaps I'm enjoying myself. Perhaps even your contracts have enough wiggle room to insert all the leverage I need to act as I desire. Thank you for your assistance. My baker's dozen subordinates and myself can take it from here. Mind explaining what you're intending? Private Stream asks. I already have. You will receive the report at the appropriate time as stipulated in my contract. Moriarty responds. Now shoot. And why did your subordinates not assist? I don't fully trust them yet. I don't trust you, but I do understand you more. After all, for all your vaunted righteousness, you do understand that laws are more restrictive than restorative. You are a walking treatise on nihilism and political realism. Private Stream notes. Oh, I disagree. I know that people act with altruism, and I know that there is purpose. I just don't care. Think of it more akin to apathy. And yet so many people don't find apathy, don't fall into an existential crisis and remake themselves as monsters. Some people are lucky. I had to be intelligent instead. And so you became a criminal and were immediately captured when you tried to go big time. How very intelligent. Private Stream all but hisses. Oh, don't blame him. He only looks young. He's just set in his ways as age has made him ossified and trapped in his form. Another Private Stream mocks, and Moriarty looks over his shoulder at the two young men. They're not identical, but it's only when they're side by side that differences can be discerned. After all, discontinued medical prosthetics and stolen laser weaponry cobbled into turrets are interesting, but the sheer amount of chlorine we've been inexplicably gifted with is fascinating. I thought that would tickle your attention. It appears that the hack, as you also kindly put it, has spread the information of chemical weaponry further. Cooler heads are prevailing for now, but if I try to remove them, it may spook people into using them. Moriarty explains before turning away. The second Private Stream walks up to him and holds up a small device. Emergency beacon. If you have any suspicion that someone's using the chemicals as weapons, you let us know immediately. We have protocols for combating and containing threats like that. They're more sophisticated than anything any local authority has and are far more resource intensive than you can easily do.